Welcome to Timeless Photos. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss more videos like this one.
9 European kings and emperors together. This incredible photo shows 9 European royals gathered in London for King Edward VII's funeral. Within just 4 years, one king was assassinated and 4 others were overthrown. 5 years later, Britain and Belgium were at war with Bulgaria and Germany. Out of these monarchies, only 5 still exist today, with 2 ruled by queens. Soldiers returning home after World War II. After World War II ended, the U.S. faced a massive challenge, bringing over 12 million soldiers home. The solution? Operation Magic Carpet. The government converted every available ship into a transport vessel. This enormous operation lasted 360 days and successfully transported military personnel from Pacific, European, and Asian theaters back to American soil. An East German soldier helps a child. During the Cold War, the Berlin Wall tore families apart. In this photo, we see an East German soldier defying direct orders to help a child pass through a wire fence to rejoin the family. It's a moment of humanity shining through in one of history's darkest periods, showing compassion can exist even in oppressive circumstances. Mr. Rogers and Officer Clemens cooling their feet. American segregation laws once divided everything from schools to swimming pools based on race. At this moment, Mr. Rogers invited Officer Clemens to his show to put their feet together in a foot bath, making a bold statement against racial barriers. This simple act demonstrated to children and families what equality could look like, using a simple act to deliver a profound message about human dignity. Laika, the first dog in space. Laika made history as the first animal to orbit Earth when the Soviet Union launched her into space aboard Sputnik 2. This Moscow stray was selected for a one-way mission. The image shows her in the satellite capsule before launch. Tragically, Laika died from overheating just hours into the flight when the spacecraft's thermal control system failed. Her remains stayed in orbit until April 1958, when Sputnik 2 burned up during re-entry. The last lifeboat off the Titanic. We've all seen photos of the Titanic before its tragic sinking, but images of the actual rescue are incredibly rare. This photograph captures the last lifeboat evacuating the doomed ship. While many know the story through movies and books, this authentic moment shows the real desperation of that fateful night. Neil Armstrong. Just after the moon landing. When we think of the historic moon landing, we usually picture Armstrong or Aldrin on the lunar surface. This lesser-known photo shows Armstrong back inside the module right after making history. The expression on his face tells the whole story: relief, accomplishment, and the weight of his achievement. This candid shot reveals the person behind the spacesuit, giving us a glimpse of how it felt to be the first human to walk in another world. Arnold Schwarzenegger walking through Munich. Before he was a movie star or governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger pulled off a bold publicity stunt. He walked through Munich wearing nothing but swimming trunks to promote his gym. This marketing tactic turned heads and helped launch his public career. The photo shows a confident young Arnold, already showcasing the physique that would make him famous, casually strolling through shocked crowds. Lincoln on the battlefield. This image shows President Lincoln meeting with Major Pinkerton and Major General McClernand at the Union camp on the Antietam battlefield. The meeting took place after a battle that forced Confederate General Lee to retreat to Virginia. Seeing Lincoln on an actual Civil War battlefield gives us a rare perspective on his leadership during America's darkest hour. The assassination of Robert F. Kennedy. This photo captures the moment after Senator Kennedy was shot at the Ambassador Hotel. Kennedy had just delivered a victory speech after winning California's Democratic presidential primary when Sirhan shot him. Here we see Juan Romero, a hotel busboy, comforting Kennedy as he lies wounded. Kennedy died in the hospital a day later. The capture of Saddam Hussein. 9 months after the US-led invasion of Iraq began, the American forces captured Saddam Hussein near Tikrit. While most remember the widely circulated photos of Hussein after his capture, this rare image shows the actual moment of capture. This moment marked the end of the hunt for the deposed Iraqi leader. The Eiffel Tower under construction. We know the Eiffel Tower as a finished monument, but this photo gives us a glimpse of its construction. Work began in January 1887, and incredibly the tower was completed in just over 2 years. Built for the 1889 Exposition Universelle in Paris, celebrating the 100th anniversary of the French Revolution, it was designed by Gustave Eiffel as a technical marvel of precision engineering. For 40 years, until 1929, it held the title of the world's tallest structure. Unboxing the Statue of Liberty. It's hard to imagine the Statue of Liberty as anything but complete. This photo shows the statue's face just after being unpacked from one of 214 crates that transported it from France. When the crates arrived in June, the great unboxing began. The assembly cost was around $10 million in today's money. The San Francisco earthquake. A massive 7.9 magnitude earthquake struck San Francisco at 5:12 a.m. on April 18th, becoming one of California's worst disasters. The quake ruptured the San Andreas Fault for nearly 270 miles. The devastation was severe, but what made it truly catastrophic was the fire that followed. The blaze burned for 4 days, leaving about 3,000 people dead and 200,000 homeless. These photos capture the scale of destruction that forever changed the city. Lincoln's funeral. Just 6 days after the Civil War effectively ended, John Wilkes Booth assassinated President Lincoln. This photograph shows the funeral procession making its way down Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. The nation was mourning just as it should have been celebrating peace. The timing made Lincoln's death even more tragic. He had led the country through its bloodiest conflict only to be killed as peace was finally achieved. The shot that started World War I. This photo shows police arresting Gavrilo Princip, who assassinated Archduke Franz Ferdinand in Sarajevo on June 28th. This single act triggered a chain of events that led to World War I. What makes this image compelling is seeing the actual arrest of the man whose actions would ultimately result in millions of deaths. The ripple effects of this assassination reshaped the entire world. Hitler declares war on the U.S. This photograph captures Hitler declaring war on the United States on December 11th, just 3 days after Pearl Harbor. Germany, as Japan's ally, cited various provocations by the U.S. as justification. German officials delivered a formal note to the State Department stating Germany considered itself at war with America. What's surprising is how rarely we see this specific image despite its significance. The moment when the Nazi regime officially became America's enemy. Hanging of the Lincoln assassination conspirators. John Wilkes Booth didn't act alone. Nearly 10 other Confederate sympathizers conspired to kill Lincoln, Vice President Johnson, and Secretary of State Seward, hoping to revive the Confederacy. While Booth was killed during capture, his co-conspirators were eventually caught. This photo shows the hanging of 4 plotters: Mary Surratt, Lewis Powell, David Herold, and George Atzerodt in Washington, D.C. Thomas Edison unveils the phonograph. Edison's inventions have fundamentally changed how humans live. This photo captures him revealing his phonograph in Washington, D.C. Along with the light bulb and motion picture camera, the phonograph helped usher in the modern age. It's remarkable to see the genesis of devices that transformed civilization. The Klondike Gold Rush, 1896 to 1899. Approximately 300,000 people moved to northwestern Canada seeking gold. While we often think of this period as before photography was common, a few prospectors brought cameras. These rare images show the brutal conditions gold seekers endured. Disease was rampant, and food so scarce that salt was worth its weight in gold. This photo shows miners at work, documenting one of history's most famous gold rushes and the hardships people endured chasing fortune.